shall I wait for you to start? So, would you like to introduce who everyone is, or if people would like to introduce themselves?
This is our fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue support group. On behalf of Arogyam UK, we do 12-step program, which is 12-week program, and each week we take up another intervention and other issues around fibromyalgia. We can manage with the self-help practices. So this week we have you with mental health, with emotions, feelings, psychotherapy, and how best we can manage mental health and our pain together, or vice versa. This is our 7th week in a row. And then later on, we will be taking more interventions, supporting the mental health and around. So all of us here is our fibromyalgia group, which joins every Thursday. And of course, Dr. Devika Khanna, I mentioned already, everybody, but I leave it with you.
Thank you so much. So I can see you. So thank you for inviting me. I can see Rekhaji. Thank you. If other people can turn on your videos, that would be great as well, because we can make it more interactive. And I think that's a huge part of the therapeutic process anyway. So thank you, Ushaji and Dakshaji, and anyone else who feels comfortable. If you don't, that's okay. But if you can, that would be great. Nishaji, Damyantiji, Mayaji, brilliant. Thank you. And anybody else as well, if we can invite to join, that would be brilliant. So Divyaji, just give 1 or 2 minutes to see if anyone else would like to join, turn on their videos. Okay, so namaste everyone, and as Nehaji has introduced me, unfortunately had some technical difficulties at the moment, but I'll just say, I'm not sure. Shall I introduce myself anyway? No. Okay. So my name is Dr. Devika Khanna. I'm a consultant psychiatrist in medical psychotherapy. So basically, I'm a medical doctor who specialized in the mind. And I work in London, and I run a department in the NHS covering Southwest London. And as well as that, I also am invited by other hospitals, other parts of the country, to set up services there. As well as that, I do see some patients privately as well, one-to-one. Outside work, I'm also very much into meditation, and I'm trained in mindfulness. For example, Nehaji and myself spoke about that. And as well as that, I do really enjoy being invited to educate general public about mental health issues, because I think it's one thing to say, I mean, the people who come to see me in the NHS are very unwell. So sometimes we need, it doesn't mean everyone else isn't suffering. Everyone else is suffering in their own way. So it's really important for everyone to get access to some sort of support. And as well as that, earlier this year, I ran a campaign to address the COVID crisis in India, which I finished now, but was really grateful. That was an award-winning campaign. I'm really grateful that that was well received by the whole world. So that's just another, that was my seva, you could say, that I wanted to do, or I was called to do. So that's just a little bit about me. If there's anything else you would like to ask, please write in chat, or you can unmute yourself and ask me directly. That's fine. And instead of this being just me lecturing, I'd love if anyone has any questions or anything, please just either put your hand up or write in chat, or you can also do a virtual hand where it says, let me see where, you can probably see a yellow hand, you can do a raise hand, or you can just unmute yourself and start talking. That's absolutely fine. So can I just ask Nehaji, what sessions have been done already, so I have an idea?
Yes, and the very first week we did the GP, our GP here in Leicester Trust, Dr. Modi. She did the fibromyalgia as an introduction, and pharmacological, as well as the clinical management from the GP perspective, from the clinician's perspective, and how people can self-manage. The second week following her session, we did brain tapping, more on this brain tapping technique, as well as the tapping methods to a different psychotherapy. So the psychotherapist joined second week. And then we did, so far we did meditation with the sound, music. We did an Ayurveda session with the dietary and Ayurveda supplements and around. And there was one session which I did to finding different root cause and how to manage the triggering factors around root cause of fibromyalgia, including the trauma and trauma management. So it could be childhood trauma or long-term trauma, sometimes as underlying cause. So finding different root cause and how do we manage what we can work around. So that was so far done. We have music therapy in upcoming weeks, and then we have yoga therapy in another week. So these are the sessions which is scheduled for the forthcoming weeks.
Right, great. Thank you. That's really helpful, and a good variety of things as well, a wide range. That's lovely to hear.
I did to pull everything which is so far proven in research and which is found helpful with fibromyalgia. So we're trying to bring that all together in 12 weeks.
All right, brilliant. So can I just check, is this fibromyalgia, everyone here suffers from fibromyalgia, or they could suffer from chronic pain and not diagnosed as fibromyalgia as well?
Most of us here are diagnosed with fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome. But yes, some of us here, we have here is with the chronic pain conditions as well. But all around, mostly the chronic pain conditions.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. So everyone who's just joined as well, we're just encouraging as many people as possible to turn on your videos, please. That would be really good. So what would be really helpful first is, I mean, we know that with chronic fatigue syndrome or fibromyalgia, there are lots of effects on emotional health, mental health, and sometimes I hesitate to use the term mental health because it has so much stigma in our society. So people will say, what, you're saying I'm crazy? So I don't mean that at all. What I mean is that when we suffer, we don't just suffer physically, we suffer, our mind and body doesn't really know where the difference is. We have chemicals going all around our body. Spiritually, you could say there are connections. So there's a huge mind-body connection. Also, our body itself doesn't know the difference between up here and below the neck. But society has labeled, if it's above the neck, then it's crazy. If it's below the neck, then let's feel sympathy for the person, give them flowers and food and look after them. So we know that that's the case, but we also know that there's a lot of, there are theories and potential research out there that maybe fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome are a manifestation of emotional distress. That basically the person is suffering with emotional distress, but for some reason we're not able to, the person isn't able to express that or feel it as an emotional way. Namaste, Ushanti. Thank you for turning your video on, and nice to see you. So so then what happens is that it comes out in our body, basically. That's what happens. So what it would be really helpful is, obviously this is a huge topic, if people could either write in chat or raise your hand and unmute yourself, and just tell me what you think would be really valuable to learn today. What areas do you think would be helpful if we cover them today? First of all, that would be really helpful for me to have an idea how to target today's session. Damayanti ji, if you could unmute yourself, please. And can I just check, is everyone okay in English? मैं हिंदी में भी बात कर सकती हूँ, गुजराती नहीं. English ठीक रहेगा सब लोगों के लिए? English ठीक है? Yeah. Yes, Damayanti ji. And then we'll go to Nisha ji.
Okay, I think I've had fibromyalgia for about 31, 32 years.
Okay.
And it was diagnosed about 14, 15 years ago after doing many years of treatment of all kinds, Reiki, the lot. How do I get rid of this pain?
Okay, right. What I can hear is that you're frustrated and you're...
Yes, because as I'm getting older, that pain seems to be getting worse.
Right.
Maybe my pain threshold is diminishing slightly.
Okay.
I'm getting older. I am. Okay, I'll tell you how old I am. I'm 61 years old, by the way. So as I'm getting older, I feel, and also perhaps because I've sort of got more mental space now because the children have grown up, they're married, I'm retired. I have more mental space to feel that pain.
Okay, right. Thank you. That's really helpful. Yes.
It's not stopped me from doing anything, and
right. Okay. So do you mind if I write this in chat? If I write down the topics in chat?
Yeah.
Is that okay? So, so Usha ji has written, welcome to the group. Thank you. Even if people don't have fibromyalgia, how can they handle pain and emotional trauma? I'll come back to that in a moment. I just wrote what Damayanti ji has said. So if I've heard correctly, what you're saying is that you've had this for a long time. You were reluctant to accept that you have a condition, but like life was going on, there were lots of stresses, but now you have more time to think about it. There's more space in your life. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so if I write how to handle more space and time, basically, is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then I think Nishaji, you were trying to speak. You need to unmute yourself, please.
I do some psychotherapy and what do you call, do some spiritual work, and I do the Reiki work and body work and everything. But about 10 days ago, I had I don't know whether I got this fibromyalgia or not, I don't know, but the emotional thing, because last week, 10 days ago, my daughter-in-law's had her brother passed away, and in India, and then I had a phone call from India saying that I must go and support my daughter-in-law. And of course, I would have done it anyway, but once I knew. So I ran away, I went to her, stayed with her from 11 o'clock at night, 40 to 11 to 3:30 in the morning, and then the next day, evening, whole day. And I couldn't handle her grieving. It was too much. It was so much. Sitting there, and she's on a video call to India, and I'm sitting there, whole family is sitting there. And then my asthma came up. I didn't have asthma for last whole year. Usually I am having asthma. But this emotional thing, and I started really heavy asthma, came home, and I'm in bed for 8 days, and I had to take the, what do you call, a steroid. And then now, last 3 days, 2 days now, I'm on steroid. So,
right. Okay.
my God, is this the, I can't handle this emotional thing? Am I impatient? And feeling guilty of not being with, staying with my daughter-in-law now last few days. And otherwise I run around to this house, to that house, cooking, taking the food as our Indian custom or culture or patterns. Can't change these old patterns that I have to be good mother-in-law. I have to support my family. My daughter-in-law, for her, she doesn't have any family here in this country. So all this emotional drama, I would say drama, but I find it really very, very difficult to handle the situation.
That sounds really difficult because you've got your responsibilities, but then you're suffering, but then you're feeling shame for the fact that you can't fulfill your responsibilities the way you want to, and you're suffering with your asthma as well. So it's like everything's happening at the same time. Yeah.
And challenging my patterns. How I do it life, and I don't want to. So we're stuck between change the patterns.
Yeah. Do you mean traditions by that?
Sorry, my dear?
Do you mean traditions, like rituals?
Traditional, and feel a bit it feels guilty not looking
Yes.
after family, and that is our values, our
Yes.
that people in family supposed to be looking after each other.
Mm.
And if you don't do it, you feel bad. You
Mm.
feel
Yeah.
so. This is really
So yeah. So can I? So what I'm like to summarize that is, one topic is that supporting other people and the impact on you. Another is when you can't fulfill your responsibilities, then shame because of that. Is that right? Can I cover those two topics? Is that helpful?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just write those in chat. So one is Nishaji. One is supporting other people. And another is shame when you can't fulfill your responsibilities. Or guilt, like you said.
Yeah.
Or
the thing saying that I have to be nice, I have to be good, I have to be supportive. All these things.
Yes. And then can we go to Usha Chudasama ji? I'm really sorry if I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. If you could, do you mind unmuting yourself and just explaining what you mean?
Hello, namaste.
Namaste.
I was just asking generally for everybody that if they're having an emotional trauma or they're just having some difficult time in the life, how they can handle it. I know more people have a pain in the body because of fibromyalgia, which I don't have it. That's good. But I'm just asking general question because at this moment, everybody's suffering with emotional more than physically. They can't go and do things like Nishaji was saying, you have to fulfill everybody's wishes, but you don't look after yourself. Yeah, that's what my question.
So you mean if you already have fibromyalgia and pain, how do you handle emotion on top of that? Is that what?
Even if you don't have it, that's what I mean.
Yeah, okay. So just how to handle emotional pain. Okay, thank you. And then let's just write that down. I'm just writing these in chat. And then we have Dakshaji, if you could unmute yourself, please.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Devika. Devika, I have got fibromyalgia, osteoporosis, and osteoarthritis. My fibromyalgia is about 37 years old, but I didn't know that I have fibromyalgia. I think I found out in 2015, diagnosed by my GP. I have taken in the past amitriptyline and things like that, and so many treatments has been done. And last year, everything started back again. And in April, things went really bad and I had to give up my job. So I'm on off sick at the moment.
Okay.
Since then, my doctor is saying that I should, because my pain doesn't go. I'm much better since April right now, much better, because I found a way to handle my mental stress. I have started reciting Bhagavad-Gita since April. And I just recite, and I started giving exam because what was happening that I couldn't remember things. Suddenly I was just losing the name of, like, if I want something from the fridge, I know it's black, but I don't know, it's black and a small, but I don't know what it's called. Right. So olives, I couldn't just, I know where it is, what they look like, but I couldn't pinpoint that this is called olives. I was forgetting everything. So I started learning Bhagavad-Gita online, and I started giving exams now. So my mind is covered with slokas all the time, which is, I feel good. I feel more energetic, more better. But my pain doesn't go. Right. When I'm on a class online or something, when I'm reciting, I can focus. My mind is there with the slokas, but my other mind is there that there is a lot of pain. Like I'm sitting right now, but I can't sit. I have to support my posture, and it is very difficult to sit or stand. I started, they referred me for the gym to go to. So I started going for 6 weeks. And now with this virus, I'm not sure whether I should go or not to gym, because I have a daughter at home with Down syndrome and my husband with a medical condition, a heart problem. So I stopped going last week because of this virus now. And also my GP keeps saying that you take, if you don't want to take amitriptyline, just take nortriptyline, which I have got it in the house. In case if I need it, it's there. But I feel I want to heal naturally. Is it why is this season I have taken?
Okay, right. So what I'm hearing is, one thing you're saying is that
Quite a lot of things I explain.
No, it's
in a
okay. It's
little.
very, no, thank you. I'm just in my head, just getting them in order. So one thing, if I've understood, please correct me if I'm wrong. One thing is that you found ways to handle the emotional, mental part of it, but the pain is still there. The physical pain is still there. That's one thing. Another thing is, you're saying, obviously, you found ways to cope, but you can't do all of them, like the gym at the moment, for example. And
I had to stop because of the virus, but that exercise was helping for my osteoporosis as well, I think.
Yeah. And then another thing, you're asking me about medication, yes? Yeah, okay. Let me just write down here. So Dakshaji, so one thing is that managing, you could say, the emotional stress, but the pain, physical pain is still there. Is that right?
Yeah.
And another
my sleep pattern is improved since taking magnesium as well. I'm taking magnesium every night, magnesium powder.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Magnesium powder. So that helps me for sleeping. And also I given the job up. So that also making me less tired now.
Right. What job did you do?
I was working as a science technician manager in college.
Right. Okay.
And I was on my feet all the time. And also, you know, quite a lot of stress and responsibility as well.
Yes.
So I'm on a medical, I think I will get an ill health retirement now for 12 to 18 months.
Okay, right. So thank you so much. I've written those in chat, so I'll come back to those. Anyone else have any other questions right now? I mean, we might have time at the end as well, but before I go through these things, it gives me a really good idea of what would be helpful, because obviously, as you know, mental emotional health is such a big topic, but this is really helpful.
One thing I'll add on, Devika.
Yes.
Because I hear a lot of my in the groups and different one-to-one. So the one thing which hasn't come out, of course, Nishaji said about a lot around shame and guilt. So this is very much also prevalent when it comes to abuse, violence, emotional abuse, and mental abuse, and scenarios where childhood trauma is associated as well. And quite a few we hear. Quite tragic incidences which actually happened long time ago, maybe in the early childhood, but now it's manifesting as a pain, as fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue.
Right.
So when these long-term suppressed feelings have come up, just popped up, and there's no way of handling, then that's where patients and us and everybody struggles, that how we go back in time and recover that.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. So I've written childhood trauma, because we can't go back in time, but how do we manage that now? So one disclaimer I should give, first of all, is that I'm not able to give specific medical advice to anyone, because obviously I don't know anyone's medical histories. Nobody here is my patient, but what I can do is I can give general information on mental health. So just to say that, if you can excuse me for 1 minute, I'm realizing I'm having some technical difficulties. So I'm just going to turn off my video and try and re-plug into something different. Just be 1 moment. Okay, let's see if that works. If it doesn't, I'll just change to a different device. I'll have to go out and come in. So what I'd like to do first of all is just say in general, if we say about emotional problems, thank you firstly for being open. Thank you to everyone who's been so, it takes courage to share what you're suffering with, so especially in a group, but even to acknowledge it to yourself or to somebody else. So thank you for your courage with that, first of all. And secondly, as I said at the beginning, it's normal to suffer with emotional or mental health issues. And I would say, they say that 1 in 4 people suffer with some diagnosable emotional or mental illness in their lives. But remember that these illnesses it's like academics come together and say, okay, these are the criteria. This is what is a definition of a mental illness. I personally believe that everyone suffers with some sort of mental emotional suffering at some time in their lives. And we are all suffering all the time. We have joy as well. We have positive things, we have happiness, we have love, but we also have pain, fear, shame. These are all part of being human being. It doesn't mean that you're mentally ill. It's just we're human, so we suffer with these things. So I just want to say that as well, just to start off with. And I think a really good thing about coming together in a group is you can understand that nobody's alone. You'll probably hear, even the people who haven't shared, they will probably hear and benefit from what other people have talked about and realize that you're not alone with this. And another thing is, if you can, it's hard because often things can be stigmatized. It can feel uncomfortable to speak to general public about these kind of things. But if you did, and if you met people who are honest, you'll find that it's not just people with fibromyalgia who suffer with these problems, that anyone said. All these problems are common to all human beings. Nothing to do with fibromyalgia. Fibromyalgia is, I'm not dismissing it, but it's not unique to fibromyalgia. These problems are across the board. So again, it doesn't mean that, I guess what I'm saying is you're not alone and there's nothing wrong with you as such, as a person. Now, I'm just going to quickly remind myself of the various topics. So what I'd like to start off talking about is in terms of how to handle more space and time. And this is a question I've been asked a lot in the last 1.5 years, because I know people here have mentioned that there's issues with having more space and time if you're leaving work or life circumstances have changed, like children have moved or whatever. However, please remember that there's the pandemic as well, which has given people more space and time. And I personally have experienced that because I've been working online since last March last year. And it's not easy at all because I'm used to my normal life. I travel a lot. I do, I don't really sit in one place for very long. And now I'm sitting in one place all the time. And so this has been, again, a widespread issue. And what I've said to people is, and I'd say it's the same for pandemic, but same if your life circumstances have changed, what can you do to take charge of your time and space to fill it up in a way that suits you? So in cognitive behavioral therapy, one thing that is a basic thing that's used is activity scheduling. And that basically means you have a diary, you have like a chart of the whole day, and you have like 1 hour slots. So say, from 6 in the morning or whenever, till midnight. I don't mean you have to be awake all that time, but that's how it could be divided. And what you can do is for a week, you could write down everything that you do in that hour. So I don't mean in full detail, but you could just write one thing. Thank you, Indiraji, you've also turned on your video. Thank you so much. So what you might write is, say, 9 to 10 breakfast, 10 till 11 exercise, 11 till 12 Zoom call, 12 till 1 sit and worry, 1 till 2 talk to somebody who made me feel bad. You can write down exactly what you did, and then you have an idea of actually what's going on in your life. However, what's really helpful then is to see, what did I do before I was suffering this much? What have I ever done that's made me feel good? What have I done that makes me feel happy? But as well as happy, what makes me feel good about myself, and that I have a sense of achievement, and that I have a sense of worth, because that's really, really important. And because everyone here is equally worthy, everyone is fully worthy and completely worthy, but often we don't have that feeling of being worthy. So what do I do that gives me that feeling? And then you can inject it into your life, into your day. So then you get a blank chart and you make an appointment with yourself for those things. So what happens is, I wonder if I'm just going to remind myself for 1 second in chat. So Dakshaji, where are you? People are moving around on my screen, which is confusing for me, but it's the technology. So Dakshaji, I don't know if you're able to come unmute yourself for a moment. There you are. Brilliant. Thank you. So I'm just wondering, if I said to you, okay, you can't go to the gym right now, but maybe you could go for a walk outside, socially distanced in a park. How does that sound?
Which I'm doing it. I have started, because what happened before I was going to gym, I started going regularly to walk. And then I just take my headphones and I listen Bhagavad-Gita, Adhyay, and it's nice. And then my physiotherapist suggested to go, because physiotherapy was not working. So they said, okay, I'll refer you to go to gym. And I started enjoying it. I've been just only 6 weeks so far. And I think it was helping me. But now, because of the pandemic, and I'm worried about my daughter, so I stopped going out. So now what I do is for last 2 days, just now I finished, there is on YouTube, there is a walk exercise, 30-minute walk. You just put a video on and so I just finished my exercise and I joined this group.
Right, okay.
So that was fine. And then probably from tomorrow, because I'm doing more Zoom call at the moment, so I couldn't go out, but maybe from tomorrow I'll start going out. So just 45-minute walk, and that suits me fine. I will do that.
Brilliant. That's really, really good. Well done. So what you've done is you've adapted. So what you've said is, so it's not the gym that was making you feel good, it was the exercise. And you found that the exercise, because it makes you feel good, let's find another way to exercise. It doesn't matter how you exercise, does it? You found this thing with YouTube, you can go outside. So something that's safe for you, for your family. And you get the benefit of exercise, because there's lots of evidence that exercise releases the same chemicals that antidepressants do. So for example, serotonin, and it makes us feel better. If you're like me, the thought of exercise doesn't make me feel good, but after you've exercised, normally we feel good.
Feel better.
Yes. And it also, like, you listen to positive things, or Bhagavad Gita, you listen to something helpful. That's good, because then your mind is occupied in something positive for you. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to switch to another device. So please excuse me for just a moment. I'm going to join from another one, and I'm going to have to come off here. I'll just make sure I've joined there. Okay, I'm just going to come out from here. Right, are you able to see me and hear me? Good, thank you. What this means is I've lost the chat. So Nehaji, I'm going to ask your help if I forget any questions. Thank you. Let me just make sure. Yeah, so Dakshaji, that's really, really good what you've done. You found a different way of managing, because what happens is often we get attached to the situation or some strategy, but that's not actually what's providing our actual support. But what's really helpful is to see what's my need behind that, and can I find a way to fulfill that need. So it sounds like your need was exercise, so then it doesn't matter how you fulfill it, you just need to fulfill the need of exercise. So thank you, Nehaji. So it's really, that's what is really helpful. So everyone else as well, if there's something that you feel you would like to do, but for circumstances you can't do it, is there any other way to do it? So now, if I just remind myself, who was it that, Damayanti, if you don't mind unmuting yourself, please.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is you have a similar situation in that your circumstances have changed, so your needs aren't being met. And so, for example, there's more space and time. So I'm wondering if there's any way that you could artificially create less space for you, less time, and fill your space and time with things that are helpful for you. Because it sounds like previously, because I totally agree with you, this is true, that when we have too much space and time, too much of anything is not good for us. As you said, then you start focusing on the pain. However, now you've got a wonderful opportunity that you are in charge. You can fill your timetable with whatever you like, really.
Yes. Now, I have also taken up Bhagavad-Gita classes. So I do that Monday to Saturday from 7 to 8. And then we do the Vedant classes from 8 to 9. And I enjoy that thoroughly. I go walking at least 4 to 5 days a week for about an hour and a half.
Right. Okay.
This is all in the morning. And then in the evening, I'm doing yoga at least 3 to 4 times a week. So I've done all that. But the thing is, the pain doesn't go. I'm doing that in my head. I'm feeling a lot calmer, much calmer, because I was always running around in my head. So I'm a lot calmer in my head. But the pain is still there. It's not as severe as it used to be, but it's still there.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether it's just fibromyalgia, that's the pain, or whether it's a little bit of aging as well. I don't have arthritis or any of that.
But you did, yeah. Okay, so what I'm hearing is the pain is still there. What I understand though is previously you were saying that you had too much time now, is that right? So you think about it?
I don't know whether the day goes, with doing everything that I do, the day goes. And I don't know whether in my head, I feel that these are just interests and hobbies, because up until this year, July, I've lived a life which has been very full on, bringing up kids, running a business. I still have a business, but that's not so stressful anymore. So I just wonder whether I'm not putting enough value to the interests that I have now.
So how about saying, there's 2 ways. Well, there's 3 things you can do. One is you can say to yourself, this is a loss. So you are grieving a loss of one type of life. And it's okay to acknowledge that, because that is painful. That is one thing to acknowledge, because the moment you acknowledge it, you accept it, then you can give yourself permission to feel a bit not so good about it, because you are going to, that's a big change, and any change is going to have an impact. We don't have to run in and fix everything. Often before that, it's good just to be kind to ourselves and say, hang on, this hurts. Emotionally, this hurts, or this is a big change. Now, another thing is, yes, society tells us ABC makes us worthy. These are actions of worth, of value. I'm just doing hobbies now. These things don't matter, right? So then it's up to you now. Maybe you could define what is of value to you, and maybe not even call things hobbies if they're not hobbies. So it sounds like something like Bhagavad-Gita, going for a walk, is actually very, very, it's important for your physical and mental health. And to be honest, if you're not well, you'll either, who else are you going to be able to serve or look after? So actually you're doing this for society and for your family. And that's another way of looking at it.
Yeah.
It's just how we label it. So I wouldn't say it's that, and I think it feels like you're also thinking this, and maybe it's not that the things you're doing are wrong, but it's the fact that you don't view them as of value. So therefore you don't feel you're wasting your time, but are you really?
No. I actually don't feel I'm wasting my time. I don't feel that. I know it's doing mentally, it's serving a purpose there, but maybe I'm not there totally, and I need to get there still, to be totally like, okay, I'm doing Bhagavad-Gita. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'm at a stage where I'm actually teaching 7 other people how to read the Bhagavad-Gita shlokas in Sanskrit. Oh, by the way, I've taken on learning Sanskrit as well.
And like you said, you're teaching 7 other people, so you are influencing 7 people's lives.
Yes.
And indirectly, you don't know who else, other people.
Yeah, I know. So I do feel that I'm doing something valuable, quite valuable, in fact. but I don't know. I just can't get rid of this pain. It's not as intense, but it's there. I'm sitting down on the floor at the moment.
Right.
And my leg, my hip is really painful.
Yeah. Can I just ask, so Dakshaji also said this, that she's doing all these things, but the pain is still there. Nehaji, you said meditation has been done. Can you just tell me what kind of meditation was done?
Yes, we do every Monday. We do different style of meditation and mindfulness. So on breath, on chakras, on chant, panchakosha. We did also the sankalpa meditation. So similar like ACT. So different sort every week we do that. That's on Monday.
So the reason why I was saying that is because mindfulness and ACT, for example, acceptance and commitment therapy, both of them, their ethos is we're not trying to get rid of the pain, we're trying to change our relationship to the pain. So I'm just wondering if, Nehaji, that's been addressed so far yet?
Yes, it was done on the second week with the brain tapping. So that's where we did talk about accepting it and then working all around because it's going to be there. It's part of us now. So we did, very first, we did cover that.
Okay. So, I mean, if we have time today, I can spend a bit of time on that. Otherwise, Nehaji, I know you were saying maybe another time that's something we could just focus on just in itself, because I think since a number of people are saying this, and it is hard, you know, the natural instinctive thing as any being, not just human being, any being, is we don't want pain. So to actually say, come on, stay with your pain is just like, what does this mean? So it's actually something very challenging to learn. So I'm happy either later on today or another time to spend more time on that. But I just want to say just right now, Dakshati ji, Damayanti ji, and anyone else who's probably experiencing this, when it said, what I say, so mindfulness in the mainstream in the Western society was promoted or kind of made into a Western approach by someone called John Kabat-Zinn, who actually treated chronic pain in the US and still does. And he learned it from Buddhism. And actually, if you look at ancient Hindu, Sanatana scriptures, the same thing is there. And obviously, Buddha was a Hindu. So, but because, so I'm trained in mindfulness, the Western type, and because that came from Buddhism directly, so I know a lot. Most of the quotes I give are probably from Buddhism. But one thing that the Buddha talked about was 2 arrows or 2 darts. So what he says is that as a human being, we have the first dart or first arrow comes at us and we can't do anything about that. So for example, pain, physical pain, that's part of being a human being. Some people have more at some times in life, some people have less. The weather, for example, we have no control over. We have no control over emotional pain. So if, for example, you know, just now, I had this technology issue. That's not something I wanted. I felt anxiety. I had no control over that. And I guess, you know, it's normal as a human being to feel anxious if you're giving a talk and your technology starts failing. And then, so these are the kind of things we have no control over, other people. So that's the first arrow. And what he said was that it's normal as a human being to experience suffering, that first arrow. Then he talks about the second arrow. So the second arrow is, so the first arrow is say, I have physical pain. Say, for example, I'm trying to think of something. Yes, the other day, when I was doing puja, the agarbatti, the incense, accidentally I banged it into my hand. So I got a burn there. So that burn, that's the first arrow. Now, the second arrow would be if I said, this is awful, this is really bad, this shouldn't have happened. Now look at my hand, it looks really bad, it looks ugly, this is awful. Why? Yeah, I can't even handle the incense properly. Why did this happen? I was doing it during puja. Why did God do this to me? Yeah, they're all second arrows. And we all do them. It's normal as a human being because we don't want the pain that the first arrow caused. So it's normal to resist the first arrow by giving ourselves a second arrow, because I don't want the pain. I don't want the scar on my hand. So I'm going to go into my head and I'm going to do all this. And I don't like the pain, emotional pain it's giving me. Similarly, if, for example, somebody has fibromyalgia, then you may think, okay, I can't do what I used to do in life. For example, like I think it was Nishaji, if I remember the name correctly. Yes, who said this. And for example, maybe I can't have the body I used to have. I can't do the things I used to do. I can't feel the way I used to do. And I have pain that I don't want. So I shouldn't be this way. It shouldn't be this way. Why is it this way? That's the second error. Again, is normal. Similarly, if it's raining and I plan to go out, why is it raining? This is so bad. My plans have got ruined. They're the second error. We have control over the second error. It's normal to do it, but it causes us secondary suffering. It increases the suffering. So what he said was, and this is against what society teaches us, what he said was that, and this is in our ancient scriptures, this is in mainstream Western mindfulness, that the first error we have no control over, but let's drop the second error. So for example, John Kabat-Zinn or other people would advise, if somebody has back pain, then that's the first error, they have no control. But the second error is, okay, we're tensing up because we don't want the pain. So let's drop the second error, which means relax into the pain, feel the pain, allow the pain. That doesn't mean you don't take medication or exercise or take steps to get rid of it, but in the moment, you just accept what's here now. So if I just accept, yeah, I've got this pain in my hand, it's horrible. I'm just accepting it. I'm not saying I'm going to stay upset for the rest of my life, but I'm just saying, yeah, I'm accepting at this moment in time, it's hurting me and it doesn't feel good. Similarly, if my plan gets ruined about going outside, then okay, yeah, at this moment, I feel sad that my plans got ruined. I'm just accepting, I'm accepting the fact that it's raining. So I think this is something that definitely is hard to summarize in one session or even a few minutes, but the thinking behind, let's accept the pain of fibromyalgia, not accept that there's anything wrong with you as a person, but accepting that all human beings have some suffering. You here have fibromyalgia, other people will have some other suffering, and to accept that it's normal as a human being to have suffering and accept the pain in the moment, that can actually be liberating and that can actually be freeing and that can loosen in a really ironic way, it can loosen the grip of fibromyalgia over you. The thing is, as I said, that takes time, you need more sessions for that. And also it needs a lot of love and compassion for yourself. A lot, like lots. You can't do it if you're harsh to yourself. You need to almost start approaching the pain with love and approach yourself with love. So on that note, I'm just, so Nehaji, because I'm on a smaller screen, I can't see everyone right now, but that's something that would need more time. And as you said, you've already touched on it before, but I think that's something that's very hard to grasp very quickly.
We did touch, but we would love if you have more time, maybe another day or however you're comfortable. But we are, because this was touched, but not the way you explained, of course. So we would love to take it more, but again, depending on your availability.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I guess I just want to emphasize to everyone that it's really important, but it is, if you feel I can't do this right now, that's okay. It's very, it's very simple, yet challenging, if that makes sense. So what I want to do is, I just talked about approaching yourself with love. So Nishaji, sorry, not Nishaji, let me look in chat again. I'm sorry, you probably keep seeing my hand going on the screen because of the device I'm using. So yes, sorry, it was Nishaji, I was right. Nishaji, you mentioned about the shame or guilt about not being able to fulfill your responsibilities. So again, that's the second error. First error is you're suffering. Second error, and you've already got the pain, then you're trying to support your daughter-in-law with something really difficult. You're putting on yourself the pressure of rituals and traditions that you want to fulfill, and it's good if you're able to, and then you're getting asthma, and then on top of that, you're saying I feel guilty, I'm bad because of the way I'm feeling and the way I'm behaving. Is that right, Nisha? Just want to check if I've got that correct.
Yeah, that's fine. But before that, can I say something else?
Yes.
It is about, I'm so impressed by the Menti's work, what she's doing. And if she gets my number from Nehaji, and I like to be her 8th student, she's already got 7.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's so lovely. That's so nice.
Yeah, another thing, she says she works so much from mind. With me, I do a lot of sensing practice.
Okay.
Sensing the body,
right.
Being in present.
Brilliant. That's mindfulness. Brilliant.
Yeah. So
could you say
that's really working for me. And of course, I do some Buddhist meditation and Vipassana, and
Okay,
which is again sensing the body.
brilliant.
So it really helped me coming from mind to body.
Great. Because what happens is when we're not happy with our bodies, we go into our minds. That's normal. But actually, the solution is to come back to your body, but with love, not without love. Because if you do it without love, it's very hard. It's like you're fighting.
I know you are right when you talk about instead of my daughter-in-law, now she said, no, maybe don't come, stay home, look after yourself. Actually, I have to come and look after you. But this is, I thought that was my illness, my asthma was waiting for her to give me permission to stay away.
Yes.
Instead of me saying I'm worth it, like you said, value yourself. Do I have that courage to say no? I'm not feeling. Why do I have to say I'm not feeling well until I become ill? I could have said, look, this is my boundary to look after me. But it is not our Indian things. Our boundary is so mixed up.
Yes.
We can't be. I can't say this is me and I need to look after me.
Yes.
Because that is called selfishness.
Yeah.
That is, but so this is the boundary I'm stuck with. I can't.
Brilliant.
Can I say something here if I'm allowed to?
Yes, of course.
Okay. I didn't catch the name, but what I have learned is that my first responsibility is to look after myself. Because if I don't look after myself, I will be burdened to my family.
Yeah.
So that is what I have done. Before, I was putting everybody first, and then if there is extra time, then I was looking myself. But now I look after myself first, and then I look after other people. Because if I fall ill, there is no one to look after me. But if I am good, then I can look after the other two.
Brilliant. That's so valuable. I just want to say.
Easy to say. It is easy to say. I know. With my mind, I know that. To change that pattern.
Yes, absolutely. Oh,
I just have started recently putting in practice last 6 months. And I'm also 61. So I just have started putting in practice just now. So it is difficult one. I agree with you.
I think it's one of the most difficult things we can do in life, to look after ourselves and to give ourselves love. However, as you said, it's the most important thing. It really is. Thank you. I'm just seeing Nehaji, because I can't see everyone. If you just tell me, I've just seen R Patelji has got the hand up. If there's anyone else, please just shout out for me. Thank you. So would you like to speak?
Oh, yes. Sorry. I just
hi. Namaste.
Namaste. I just interrupting in between the conversation.
Yes.
But I just like that discussion about your first arrow and second arrow.
Okay.
I want to be for my situation is that if you don't have any control on the first and second, how can you control everything? Like first arrow definitely not in your hand, means like you just say physical condition.
Yes.
But then second arrow as well, if you keep yourself in a priority, but then also with the positivity, you just go all the way around and come back again on the same position.
Are you able to be more specific if that's okay? Well,
yeah, I have like mental illness. Definitely, I suffer from the anxiety and everything, but that is affecting a lot to my physical condition as well. So I got ulcerative colitis, and my father died because of that colon cancer. So that's back of mind, everything all the time it is, even though I'm not taking it seriously. But since like 3-4 years passing, all the time, I'm just keeping everything right way, just started doing yoga, pushing myself, not thinking too much, but then also like changing the diet and everything, that whatever I can do it, I just keep in doing, taking medicines and everything I just do a regular basis. But then also sometimes that second arrow is also not in your hands sometimes.
For
And
example?
it's come back, for example, it's come back on a situation like tummy ache and everything, even though you do everything right way, then at
Yeah.
certain level you give up, that you are not doing the right things, that comes in your mind.
Mm.
And that mental chain broken, that you are not doing well or something. So it's
Right.
more stressful and everything come back in my mind that, oh, I'm not doing the right way. I'm not taking care of myself or something. And I don't need to be bothered much. I don't need to be think much more about my illness or anything.
So what are you referring to as the second arrow then?
Like I just keep myself priority, like especially cooking different food myself. Then I for the 2 years, I just started the yoga every day, but then also mental anxiety. I
Yeah.
can't.
So, sorry to interrupt. What's your name?
Rinal Patel.
Rinal. So sorry, Rinal ji, just for interrupting. You said, what can you do if the second arrow is also out of your control? Can you give me an example of a second arrow? Just name the second arrow that you feel is out of your control.
Like second arrow means the same things, like second arrow means you say is what is in our hand.
Yes, but
Yeah.
you feel it out of, so can you, so what are you thinking of when you're saying second arrow? Like, can you give from your life that you think is out of your control?
Thing is that even though you are doing the right things, but
Yeah.
as a result, what I mean is that the result, the conclusion, you are not getting in the right way, not coming in
Oh,
the
I
right
see.
way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
What I mean is that I'm not just saying that, but sometimes for a certain period, you trick your mind, you just practice your mind to do this and that, and just concentrating on a second arrow and try to take the situation in your hand.
Yes.
Whatever you can do, like medicine is going to be working their own way, not bothering about that and that, but you just try to start to think positive that I don't want this and I want to become out one day. I will be, let me try today, start today. But then also the result, I mean, that's breaking the second arrow sometime as well.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. And what I would say then is that what you're calling a second arrow is again a first arrow. It's basically, again, something that's out of your control. And then you're giving a second arrow by saying, see, I haven't got the result I wanted. See, I'm bad. See, I can't even do this much. So then when the result doesn't go the way that you want, can you then be kind to yourself instead of horrible to yourself? Because it sounds like you're quite horrible to yourself. Could you then be nice to yourself if you're suffering? Because actually, when the result doesn't go your way, it sounds like you fight yourself. But you're doing your best. So do you have children?
Yeah, I got one child.
How old is a boy or girl?
He's 9.
Okay, so if he was trying something, say he was doing some homework and he can't do it, or he's trying to do something and he really can't, and you can see he's doing his best, but he just can't do it. What would you do? Would you start telling him off, shouting at him, calling him names? What would you do?
I just try the different techniques, but then also sometimes, that's what I mean. Sometimes I just give up, and that's what I'm just learning.
Yeah, but with your son, if he's really struggling and you can see he's doing his best and he just can't get it done, what do you do then?
That's what I mean. I just try.
If he's crying, if he's really upset and he's crying and he's saying, I'm so stupid, I can't do this, I'm so rubbish, I'm so stupid. What would you do then?
That's why I just put the positive enforcement, but then also end of the day, if I try the different techniques, but it then also the other person is not ready to understand or accept the situation, then I just give up. That's what I mean. That's what I do. So even my son, if he's not, I try my best, but then also at certain level, I'm just now learning a new things to give up. I don't know.
But when you say give up, are you giving up or are you accepting and dropping the second arrow?
I'm just accepting the situation that what it is, I can't change it.
Okay, but with your son, you say you start off positively. How do you do that?
Yeah, just try to believe in himself that what exactly he can do it, and he can do it, and just making aware of his own inner strength, and he can do
Yeah.
it. And I can put some positive idea in it, and
Yeah. And can you do that with yourself?
that's why I'm just now giving up. I just do it for a little bit, because I don't have around a motivational people. So and sometimes, like a health condition, the first arrow is just putting you down. That's what I mean that. So how to tackle that between the first and second arrow? That's what my
understand.
confusion is. Yeah.
I understand. Nehaji, how are we doing for time?
It is actually 67, but
Yeah.
I don't want to interrupt the ongoing discussion.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. You're right.
Please,
And that's why I don't want to limit the time, as long as
Yeah.
Dr. Khanna is okay, because this is important to talk about.
Yes. So what I'd like to do is, I mean, I think these are, I would be happy to come back again if you would like me back, because I feel that there are lots of important things being discussed which we can't do in an hour, definitely. And I feel that it sounds like what's rewarding for me is people are really getting involved. And, you know, if I just sit here talking, then for me, it feels like, is anyone listening? But if I'm helping people, then I would love to come back. I'm just going to make sure that I've got, I've at least touched on everything that people said today. Medication, Dakshaji, I'm afraid that's something I'm not going to be able to comment on, but everything else I can, because I'm not your doctor directly. But everyone, you know, one thing that's really stood out to me is how everyone's taking steps to help yourself already and thinking creatively and helping each other as well. That was beautiful to see. Yes, so Nishaji, when you said about guilt, what I wanted to say was, I don't think you were suffering with guilt, you were suffering with shame. So guilt is, guilt is, I've done something wrong, right? But I'm okay, I've just done something wrong. And that's actually very helpful. That stimulates us to think, okay, let me do something differently if we can. If we can't, then we can't. And shame is, I've done something wrong, so I am wrong. There's something wrong with me. And the way you were talking, Nishaji, before was that you were in shame. However, what I think is really beautiful is you automatically saw that. You automatically gave yourself the treatment for it. And you automatically said, you know, why should I feel shameful? Maybe I need to take care of myself. And, you know, other people have said this, Dakshaji, other people, and I completely agree. So, I mean, I presume has anyone here been on an aeroplane before? Okay, put your hand up if you've been in an aeroplane, please.
Yeah, did you say you are in therapy?
Sorry?
What is your question?
If you've been in an aeroplane, been for a flight? Yes. So in an aeroplane, what they say is, if you, I know lots of us don't listen, but if you listen to the air hostesses at the beginning, what they say is, if there's a crash, then if you're a mother and there's a child, you need to put the oxygen mask on yourself before the child. Now, doesn't that sound selfish? You know, you're going to let your child die. But the reason for that is, if you don't do that, 2 people might die. At least this way, 1 person might survive. And if you're alive, you can save your child. If you're dead, how are you going to save your child? Who's going to save your child? So this is, so please remember this in daily life. Like other people, Dakshaji said, you've said, we can only give other people what we have. You know, we can't give anyone else what we don't have. If I don't eat, so if a mother doesn't feed themselves, then they're not going to be able to cook food for their child because they will be too tired and they won't be able to cook. So who's going to feed their child? So let's give ourselves what we need. That way we won't need much from other people either. We won't ever be a burden on others, but also we can give to others then. But you can only give to others what you have. Please remember that. So you have to take care of yourself. I say that, that's number 1. And in my opinion, for me, it's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. So, and yet it is definitely the most important thing. And you will probably see, if you are distressed and you take care of yourself, people around you will start calming down. You may have people, there may be people here who say, no, other people don't like that. Again, we may need another session for that. But just generally, if there are well-meaning people in your life overall, I mean, there's evidence that, so let me quote, there's someone called Kristen Neff in the US who brought self-compassion. So compassion means the wish to get rid of suffering. In Hindi and Sanskrit, it's karuna. So for ourselves, so swakaruna. And if you, she brought it into the Western world, and she's done lots and lots of research. There's been over 4,000 research articles on this. And what she found, she talks about, she has a son with autism. And one day she was actually in an aeroplane, and her son was very, very distressed. And she started getting stressed. And what she did was, instead of looking after her child, first of all, she calmed herself down and gave herself a hug. And when I first heard this, I thought that sounds really selfish. But actually, there are things in our brains, they say, called mirror neurons, and this empathy as well, which is we react to the way that other people are around us. And when she gave herself love and calmed down, her son automatically calmed down. So she had two options. One is for her to, her son's already having a panic. She can also panic, or she can take time for herself and her son automatically calm down. If he didn't, she at least had the strength to look after him now. And in the Bhagavad-Gita, I hope I get the shlok correctly. Otherwise, who was it? Was it Dakshaji? Damayanti? Yeah, Damayanti, you can correct me. I think it's chapter 3, verse 17. And my Sanskrit pronunciation might not be the best. Yasta atmaratir eva syat, atmatriptashcha manavaha, atmani eva cha santushtas, tasya karyam na vidyate. And if I understand the translation, I might paraphrase it slightly, but something like, the person who takes delight in themselves, who's content with themselves, who's satisfied with themselves, for them there's no work to do. And that, okay, and if Shri Krishna, if he can say it, then who are we to disagree? Yeah, because we feel, I must do this, I must fight the pain, I must serve my daughter, I must do this, I must do that, I must do all the rituals. But no, you look after yourself, you're happy with yourself, everything takes care of itself. And this is not selfishness. Selfishness is, you know, Nishaji, if you said, I'm going to harm my daughter-in-law for my own benefit, that's selfishness. You didn't say that. You said, I'm going into shame in trying to help her. And so you're suffering. So your first duty is to yourself. Yeah. I think, shall we end there for today? Is that okay? Unless there's any last comments or questions?
Oh, this is brilliant. Yes, Rekha Ji.
Can I give the last comment?
Like you cover so much, and it's like our Hindi film ka song hai, "Tum besahara ho, to tum kisi ka sahara bano." So number one is you look after yourself, then you can help others. I just come out from COVID only month now, exactly today. Can you tell? I had a COVID, but I started to teach yoga on a Zoom to other, and I'm teaching them for a breathing technique. So what you're saying is absolutely 100% correct, Devika ji and Neha ji. Absolutely perfect program, right people, right time.
Thank you
That's
so
all.
much.
Thank you.
My last impression was how you wanted Reena Patel to take herself as a child. How you look after that child of your son. Go to your child in you.
Yes.
And I like the technique.
Oh,
my God, that was wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Because it's difficult to be horrible to a child.
But
we're horrible to ourselves, aren't we?
Yeah, 3-4 times you wanted her to see the child in herself. And how to look after your child within you. Giving the example of her son. Oh, that was so moving, so touching.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If I give everyone homework, what I would say is, if you can do this, maybe for the next week, every time you're suffering and you notice that you're being horrible to yourself, think, if this was my child or a child, an innocent child, a beautiful innocent child, how would I treat them? Would I treat them this way, the way I'm treating myself? If not, then what would I do? Then do it to yourself. Whatever it is, even if it's giving a hug, give yourself a hug. Yeah.
Giving you a hug as well.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
and hug to everyone, whole group, and
Yes.
Dr. Nehaji. Yeah.
No, thank you. I mean, we have been seeing each other, but this is the first time I think, Devikaji, you broke the ice and we are talking and we are supporting each other. Suddenly, we are not just here talking about our pain at the end. I'm saying we are supporting each other also, which is the part of the whole, which is the whole aim of the support group. So thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting me. If I can help anyone, I'm very
Would
grateful.
love to have you again, but again, we know we have a lot of commitments, and whatever best feasible time, we would love
Thank
to
you.
catch up and carry on.
Thank you. We will talk. We will arrange something. I would like to do more. We'll find some time.
That's brilliant. Thank you. Yes, possibly it could be repeated. So thank you very much for today, and I will share the recordings. And first I'll share it with you, and if it is fine, wherever you want changes, we can do that, and then we'll share it with everybody else.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye,
Thank you
everyone.
so
Thank
much.
you.
We'll be resuming in the new year. 6th of January would be our next session, so there won't be any sessions this year anymore. So 6th of January, we'll resume this 12-step program again.
Thank you, Devika. Namaste.
Thank you.
It was lovely to have you, and
Thank
God
you.
bless you.
Thank you so much.
Have a lovely holidays, everyone. Have a lovely Christmas, and see you soon.
Thank you.